hello everybody. My name is Christian, if you don't know, and we have...
I'm Michael. I was actually working on the RPI directory project last semester, but I had a class during this time, so I'm excited to actually be able to be here.
I'm Dan. I was working on RPI directory last semester.
I'm Luke. I'm completely new to RCOS, but I write a lot of software and do a lot with robots.
Awesome. So our project this semester we're calling The Buzz, and our mission statement is an informed stock market. So the problem that exists is, even though I love Google, but they don't, along with Yahoo and MSN Money, they don't offer sentiment analysis on companies. Now, they aggregate news sources quite well, but if you want to know what the public thinks of a stock, you can't really do that now. So that's why The Buzz was created. And the way we're going to do this is we're going to aggregate news sources just like the existing finance websites do, and then we're going to run various sentiment analysis algorithms on them, and we will output a number that indicates what the public thinks of a particular company. And this lends itself to many other feature applications, such like trading off these results and other very lucrative ideas. But we're going to present our data in a way that is friendly to users, whether it be through visualizations or other means, data exporting, etc.
So there's really three big components to this project. The first is going to be the crawler, which is how news sources are actually going to get into the system. So given a source like the New York Times or like an RSS feed from an investment blog, or even Twitter, like there needs to be a standard way of shoving that in a database somewhere, and that's going to be what the crawler does. Next is going to be a sentiment analyzer that's going to go through and use some kind of natural language processing to determine what the overall sentiment of a source is. And finally, over time, we'll have a learning component in there so that if a source is like consistently producing unreliable, sentiments. So let's say a tech blog has particular recommendations for investments, and those end up being very accurate. So we want to start valuing that person's opinion more, and the opposite holds true too. If we have a source that's producing like really inaccurate sentiments, we want to tone that back. So that's going on the back end. On the front end, the user is obviously going to interact with this through a website, like it's going to be a web app. We're going to have different searches you can run, just bring up all the information for any stock. We will also display rankings, like the most positive sentiment stocks out there and the most negative ones. And finally, you could just batch upload like your whole portfolio, and it could tell you like overall what the public's opinion of your portfolio is.
Alright, so these are some of the technologies that we're going to use in this project. We all enjoy programming Python as a general purpose language, so we're going to use that with Django for the web pages. The database is going to be MySQL, and so we're trying to do some fairly complex things here. So we want to use external libraries as much as possible. So we're using the natural language toolkit that we're going to use to extract the sentiment from some text that we find on the internet. We're not going to try to do that ourselves when this tool exists already. And then if we get into the machine learning types of portions of this, like determining the reliability of data or making predictions, then we're going to use this machine learning library. So here's the direction that we're headed in this project. We're just starting this semester, so we've got to get everything off the ground first. So we're going to set up our server. Then we need to put a good amount of effort into figuring out what news sources we're going to use for this. And so this is actually a bit subtle because we can't, for example, just take every news source because it's likely that a lot of sources are going to be reposting stories all over the place. So if one big source gives out a major story, then we don't want to count it more than once. So that we're going to work on. Then we're going to work on the web crawler to just extract the text from all of the sources that we can find, and the sentiment analysis to work on to analyze that, and then finally the front end to display it all.
So those are our basic goals for the semester, but our stretch goals, ideally we'd like to incorporate more machine learning into this application. We think that incorporating also financial data and trying to analyze basically how a stock performed around the release of this news article, analyzing that for feedback and how good the news source was. There's a lot of possibilities here with that. We're trying to explore some of those also. So, thank you. Pictures new since I last saw this presentation. Any questions? Yes.
So a couple questions. First of all, instead of using the Python machine learning toolkit, it'd be interesting to use a neural network, right? Because there could be these complex weights that go on that maybe the machine learning toolkit doesn't actually expose. And then beyond your guys, so then I have two other questions for you guys. Beyond your semantic analysis of language, it kind of seems like a Bloomberg type product, maybe almost, that like aggregates your portfolio and says how things are going. And then also like, and perhaps this would be better done over like a mailing list or something. But I would think that the best way to gauge the market's opinion of a stock is like the price, but I don't know. So what do you guys think about neural net stuff?
So first, I believe the machine learning toolkit includes neural net library.
Okay, excellent.
Definitely need to look into that, yes.
But for prediction, neural nets aren't exactly key. I mean, if you have the right type of regression, anything works these days. Some off-the-shelf software will be perfectly fine.
Right.
And as far as the price goes, in a perfectly efficient market, that's the case. However, obviously we don't have that. Well, it's a debated topic, but we're seeing if that correlation does exist, because it should exist, right? But it may not, and so we're going to see if there is potential from extracting news, maybe from not CNN.com, but other like low-key blogs that maybe the public doesn't read quite as often.
It'd be interesting.
Yeah. So, sure, we'll go like right there in the back.
First about price. Price alone doesn't tell you nearly enough to make like future predictions always. A stock can be at a low. It could go to a low and stay there for a decade. But at some instant, you may want to make a decision. And that's why I think this would be really, really cool. We should try and. My suggestion is to try and match it up with like the moving average for the stock to try and see what the news is saying, depending on the momentum of the price, I guess. Like if it's lagging or leading.
Yeah, that's what our stretch goal is, to correlate it with price and kind of see if there's any.
So the original goal of this was like we were gonna just give the whole system some money and like have it make autonomous trades and stuff. But I mean, I think that was too much for a semester, so we dialed it back.
I think in the back there was next.
Yeah, so a couple questions. Have you guys heard of WECA? Washington's, University of Washington's machine learning toolkit. It does, it allows you to upload your data for classification, and it lets you use multiple different types of machine learning algorithms on the data. So we were talking earlier about neural nets. It allows you to multiplayer perceptrons, random trees and cutting, and very, very detailed and graphical, I guess, analysis, and so you can see which type of machine learning algorithm is better suited for your approach. So I would, very strongly suggest looking into that, because a lot of the research that I did over the summer, we used WECA with, and it sounds like it would work perfectly with what you guys got going on. And then secondly, this seems like it's going to generate a fairly large amount of data. That's being, I guess, conservative. Because the stock market has, I would say millions of corporations publicly traded, so many times during a day. So how are you going to be able to kind of make sure that you're gathering all of the pertinent information and storing this and it seems to me like you're going to need some kind of complex hardware and algorithms just to store and read the data. So what are you going to be using in terms of that?
We got a server in the basement of DCC. Pretty beefy.
And also, there's around like 5,000 stocks on the stock market, and to start out, we might pick the top 1,000 or so.
Well, what market are you going to be? Are you the New York Stock Exchange, NASDAQ? Are you going to be in foreign markets?
Just usually U.S. stocks for now, but
Okay.
they could work for anything.
And I mean, I guess if wherever possible, we won't actually I mean, we'll certainly download an article and analyze it for sentiment, but then like
We don't
delete
store
it and
the
save
text.
the link or something. Yeah, the link might disappear.
Well, you know, like, the company might release, I go to think, like, some of these big companies release, like, 10, 20 press articles a day or something, so, and then plus all the news aggregate sites on that company, which may change over a period of time, and you're looking at, like, for one company, maybe, like, up to 100 links or 100 different sentiment and analysis, 5 times 5,000 companies, that's 500,000, 5 million, links you're analyzing. And then you have to analyze that, you have to read it, store it, so I don't know, maybe it might be worth looking into, instantizing some kind of, like, distributed cloud service to kind of analyze all this data, give more than one machine looking at it.
Another thing could be just telling it only pay attention to this set of stocks, like, which would cut down on trying to analyze every stock. I don't know.
Yeah, there's definitely issues with scalability, which we're
Yeah.
going to address if we come up to such issues. But sure, we'll just go through quick, I guess.
I was going to say, there's the S&P 500, which is the top 500 tech stocks.
Yeah.
It's even restricted to a subset of that.
Yeah, definitely. Anyone else? All right.
Just barring the technical challenges, which people say there are many, but the hardest part I think is going to be picking the right blogs or resources, because there's so many blogs written by hacks who just want to get their stock pumped and dumped. So you really have to maybe even get expert help picking which resources you need.
Yeah.
I don't know what
So that I have the suggestion along that line is, one is another way of saying it is your job is to say which blogs are good and which blogs are not good. So we don't talk in terms of the stock market, but in terms of at least based on the future stock value, can you say which blogs are good, which blogs are not good?
Yeah.
Do you understand the question?
Yeah.
That's one possibility. Just a suggestion.
Understand. You want to talk about that?
No.